Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to be looking at The Land of Nod, number 1 through 4, a 1997 miniseries by Jay Stevens, published by Dark Horse Comics. Jay Stevens, throughout the 90s, did lots of independent comics. He did Atomic City Tales, way different than these. Kind of a Dan Clowes wannabe, even though the subject matter was way different. But, there's a lot of artists in the 90s who kind of had that style, But this obviously is very different and very fun. And these comics are totally kid-friendly. And they, and yet, to a 57-year-old man like myself, who's very far away from childhood, there's a lot of funny stuff in here. Just like some great kid comics throughout history, they're still enjoyable as hell, even if you're an old man like me, like Little Lulu. I'm not going to say it's up there, but they're pretty fucking great. These are good comics, and let's check them out. So we have number 1 here. So the main character in most of these is going to be Jetcat, this little kid superhero who is, I find very endearing. It's charming as hell. I love this little kid. And we're going to meet a lot of fun characters. Have a nice little inside front cover by Jay Stevens, nice little illustration. So, I'm trying to see if I'm missing anything. Okay, so we start off, and we see Melanie. Melanie is the alter ego of Jetcat. And I believe this is her friend Todd. I might have the name wrong, but we'll figure it out in a second. It's her best friend. He's kind of a little brat, this dude. And she's watching her favorite TV show, Nod. She loves this character. And it's her birthday party. Her mom's yelling at her. She's like, put on your party dress, young lady. And she's just like, no, I want to watch my cartoons. I don't want to wear a dress. She's kind of a tomboy. And the dialogue's really funny. All the dialogue's just pretty good. So Todd says that I want to change the channel. My favorite cartoon character is Space Ape 8. And, well, Space Ape number 8 maybe technically is his name. And that's it. That's him. So finally the mother says, I mean it, Melanie. Upstairs now. So, Todd says something like about how she's like, why don't you turn into Jetcat and kick your mom's ass? She grabs Todd, flies him out to the sky, and says, Jetcat does not beat up moms. She only beats up evil. So keep your mouth shut about Jetcat. I don't ever want to hear you say that name again. It's my secret identity. So now we cut away to a condemned building. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to mention. The whole time, there's this parallel narrative at the bottom of a spaceship landing on a planet. I kind of like when comics do this. And who should come out but Space Ape 8? So he's discovering this planet. Let's get back to the main story, though. So inside this condemned building, it's the first official meeting of the Jetcat Haters Club. And it includes a radio-controlled giant robot. And, god damn it, this guy. Oh, Gargantua Monkey. Neither of who are that giant. They're pretty much just normal size. And the whole time, they keep doing a roll call. And, and there's this little bug character named Vicky Von Vermin. And they can't hear her. But she keeps saying, I'm here. I'm in the club too. And she keeps yelling for them to pay attention to her, but they can't hear her. She's a little bug. But she's another supervillain. And then all of a sudden they hear this burrowing sound underground. They're kind of creeped out. And then this guy jumps out. His name is Bella Kiss. And he's like, I would like to join your club. I'm also a supervillain. And they say, sure, you're pretty cool. But this is a running gag throughout the comic, which is kind of funny, where the robot guy keeps saying, Bella Kiss? That's not really a cool evil alias. How about Zombor or Baron Lurk? Dedula, Bat Freak. And Bella's just like, no, that's not my name. That becomes a running gag. I like this how Vicky is just like, nobody's listening to her. And she's just like, I hate this comic, she says. So the robot reveals his secret weapon that can destroy Jetcat finally. The giant radio-controlled robot. It's a bigger version of himself. Now we're back at the birthday party, Melanie's birthday party. She has a Nod birthday cake, which she likes a lot. This girl tells Todd that she has a crush on him, and it freaks him out. He's too young for girls. So he just runs out of the room. He runs upstairs, washes the cooties out of his ears. And then he says, just to be on the safe side, I'm going to stay up here and watch television. So he's watching Space Ape. And, I should have slowed down a little. I really like this. So the parallel narrative, we see Space Ape on that planet. He lifts up this lid in the ground, and all of a sudden it goes, sploo. And now, because Todd is watching the show, the bottom page narrative becomes the comic. Because he's watching this. I guess Space Ape is a weird cartoon where it's actually transmitted live from another dimension where Space Ape lives. And so I guess this is all happening at the same time. So this giant blob creature comes out, and Space Ape is on the run. But then he remembers that he has sesquiotic grow pills, and he grows to be like gargantuan. And he defeats the blob. While Todd is watching the show, there's a news bulletin interrupting it, the cartoon, and talking about the GGRCR. Maybe I'll just call him that. I'll call him the giant robot. And because Todd is no longer watching the cartoon, now it goes back to being the bottom of the page narrative. So Melanie has got all these great presents, all Nod-based. She loves Nod that much. All of her friends know. She's happy as a clam. But then Todd comes downstairs and pinches Melanie really hard. It's the secret pinch. And nobody realizes that it's not just a mean thing to do. This is their little code for, like, Melanie, it's time for Jetcat. You're needed. So the mother sees this. She grabs Todd by the ear. And Melanie pretends to cry and be all sad about it. So she has an excuse to excuse herself. And she runs upstairs so she can turn into Jetcat. Jetcat is so cute. I love this design. So Jetcat flies off and she attacks the Jetcat Haters Club. The robot is just completely indestructible. She's flying into it, bouncing off of it. It's got this like mace for a hand, and it's just beating the crap out of her. Bella Kiss hits her with one of his yellow eye. I guess a death ray comes out of it. The robot says, he calls him Gore Lord. He says, Gore Lord, use the robot. He says, my name's not Gore Lord, it's Bella Kiss. And Jetcat's taking her lumps, but she's also doing pretty good. She can't stop the robot, but she's kind of beating the crap out of all the other guys. So Gargantua Monkey, or whatever his name is, I think that's his name, he takes over controls of the giant robot, but he stalls it. You guys, I haven't been talking about the parallel narrative. Space Ape gets back in his starship and flies off the planetoid. And then Jetcat she's had enough. She's pissed off. And now that the giant robot's out of commission, she's flying towards them. I like the way this is laid out, where we just see her getting closer and closer. And all the guys are just like, oh, I'm afraid of pain. Here she comes. Oh, shit. And then at the last second, all of a sudden, she blinks out of existence. And they're like, wow, what good fortune. She just vanished into thin air. How did this happen? And we see Vicky von Vermin with her dimensional remover. And she zapped her out of existence. And of course she's yelling, it was me. Hey, oh, come on. So they don't even know that she saved the day for them. On the next issue page. And we have a little back cover featuring Todd Johnson, her best friend. And I guess he has a flying outer space baby for a kid's sister. He says, that's why I'm not jealous of Melanie being Jetcat. I've got a pretty cool sister. I like these little things that are like pointing out things. And I'm her big brother, so she has to do what I say. Lie. Word balloon. So now we have Land of Nod number 2. Really nice cover. I love these crazy colors here. It's some fun stuff. So Jetcat finds herself in this other dimension. It's almost like she's in another galaxy, you know. And she's trying to backtrack in her memory. Like, what happened? I was kicking those guys' asses, and then I ended up here. What the hell happened? So she soon realizes, though, that she's in outer space and she can't breathe. So she flies as fast as hell to this planet she sees, the closest planet. It's like, they don't call me Jetcat for nothing. Meanwhile, the parallel story here, we see this little bug flying through the city. So she's exploring this planet. She finds that there's these fruit trees there. And this one kind of animal, which she calls a squirrelamander, because it's kind of some cute lizard squirrel hybrid. She finds a little cave, lodgings, and she says, I got to figure out how to get home. 1 month later, she's obviously settled in, because she drew her little nod drawing. Man, I cannot get these pages apart. And now we go back to the home dimension and we see the Jetcat Haters Club. Vicky's still trying to get their attention. She's like, I'm the one who defeated her. And now they're like, okay, what are we going to do now? Jetcat's out of the picture. We can go crazy. And Bellicus wants to grave rob. Gargantuan Monkey is hungry. He wants to go to a grocery store, rob it. So they're all arguing. And I love this. Vicky gets so frustrated that they can't hear her. She starts singing a song. It turns into a musical. Oh, woe is me, those other three don't recognize my villainy. Is it because I'm small that I don't read at all? Sorry, I won't torture you with more of that. But it's kind of funny. She even says at the end, bet you weren't expecting a song, eh? So meanwhile, Todd is watching this all on the TV. He's still upstairs. It's still the day of the party. Even though a month has passed in Jetcat's dimension, barely any time has passed at all. So Todd says, I gotta do something. Meanwhile, in this parallel narrative, this bug flies right by Vicky von Vermin. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, guys. Once again, the narrative intercuts with the main narrative because this bug is flying right by Vicky Von Verman. But now that it's Todd, we're focusing on Todd. Now it goes back to the bottom of the page. I really like that idea. It's kind of a cool storytelling device. So he plans this escape. He knows he can't go downstairs or Melanie's mom will like yell at him and throw him back in a room, punish him. So he's planning on jumping out the window. But then Space Ape comes on TV. It comes back on, Space Ape 8. And he even says to us, the reader, "Stop looking at me like that. It's my favorite show. Cut me some slack." So instead of helping, he's going to continue to watch Space Ape. So now we see Space Ape in, not just on TV. He's in his spaceship. And his little robot companion here, he's like a robot dog. He says there's an oxygen leak. Space Ape says, "I'll just throw the oxygen switch." But he actually accidentally releases all the oxygen. So he starts choking. So he's like, "One last chance. I've got to, land on this planet as quick as possible." Now we see that bug on the bottom. He goes to a beehive and he starts whispering to this bee. And they fly off. And they start whispering to this bigger bug. Okay, back to the main narrative. So his ship is really damaged. And Space Ape says, "I better get to work then, repairing things." But all he does is fix the TV in the mini fridge, and he just starts chilling, watching Nod cartoons. He's also a fan of Nod. And I guess weeks go by, and his little robot dog is saying, "What are you doing? You've just been loafing around. You haven't made any repairs. You're not even getting dressed every morning. At the very least, we could go outside and take a walk. We could check out the beautiful fruit grove." And his excuse, Space Ape 8's excuse, is that the Space Ape Brigade is aware of their last whereabouts. He's expecting them to send a search party, so he doesn't want to leave the ship. It sounds pretty bogus. So the robot dog runs off, kind of in a huff. He's just like, "What's with that guy?" But then he sees something coming, and he runs back to the ship saying, "Boss, boss." Todd doesn't like this episode. He's like, "This is too weird," and he shuts off the TV. I guess that little robot dog is named Kipbot. So all of a sudden, out of the sky, it's Jetcat, an adult Jetcat. So basically, in her dimension, 20 years have passed, and she's a young woman now. And they introduce each other. And she tells him how she crash landed there when she was a little kid. And he offers her a ginger ale. And I guess she hasn't had anything except for those fruits for 20 years. She's like, "Whoa, awesome." So, and they watch Nod together. So she's like, "You like Nod too? It's my favorite show." So it looks like they're bonding. Meanwhile, guys, these trio of insects have found a fourth in an anthill. Still don't know what they're up to. Now back to the story. It seems like meeting Jetcat has kind of inspired him to finally start fixing the ship. And, time is passing, and it looks like love is blossoming between the two. It definitely is. Space Ape and Jetcat sitting in a tree. Kissing. First comes love, then comes marriage. Kipbot presides over the wedding. Then comes a baby in a baby carriage. So I guess a lot of time has passed. Meanwhile, at the bottom, these 4 bugs, we see them all hold hands, and then we see Zow. Back on Earth, Todd finally, because he's bored with Space Ape 8, he jumps out the window, and he misses the pillows, and he's not doing too well. That's funny. It kind of looks like Jimmy Corrigan's head. And then he says, maybe next issue. And we see here, after the Zow, those 4 bugs are turned into superheroes. The Bug Patrol. Now, the Bug Patrol was a comic strip in Nickelodeon magazine. And in the 80s and 90s, Nickelodeon had all these great independent cartoonists doing stuff for them, like Sam Henderson and a bunch of other guys. And so now this is a little crossover. I didn't mention, too, I've never seen him, but apparently Jetcat was made into a series of cartoons for the Nickelodeon channel at some point. Probably the 90s, I imagine. We got a letters page. And we have an announcement for a contest to name Bella Kiss, to give him a better name. So I guess against Bella Kiss's will, he doesn't want to change his name. But Jay Stevens basically has a contest. And I guess you could win an original piece of Jay Stevens art. So, pretty cool. And I love this back cover of Kitbot just walking through the planet. I don't know why. It's so simple. It's just a beautiful composition. I love this cover. Speaking of loving covers, so Land of Nod number 3. This is Jay Stevens penciling, but it's Dave Cooper painting colors over it. This looks so nice to me. It's just a really striking cover. So now it's the full-on crossover between Jetcat and the Bug Patrol. I gotta say, just reading this one comic, I really like the Bug Patrol, and I want to read more comics of them. So now we see the Bug Patrol. They're kind of in a meeting, a strategy meeting. And they're planning how they're gonna, fight these Jetcat haters. Meanwhile, Todd is finally on his way to help Jetcat. So I'll try to name these guys when they name themselves. There's this guy Zapper. He's got the power to kind of send out energy bolts. Let me see if I missed him on this page. Not yet. There's one girl in the group, the girl bug. Her name's like Ghost Bee. Yeah, she's a bee who could become immaterial like the Invisible Girl. She's Ghost Bee. This big guy, he's the muscle of the team. His name's Man Bug. This stuff is funny. Like almost every panel, the dialogue's pretty fucking funny. So they know about Vicky Von Vermin. That's their arch foe. So that's the first one they attack. Meanwhile, Todd is not having a good time of it. He slips in mud. A car douses him in more puddle water and mud. And then it starts raining. Okay, back to the main narrative. So they land right on Vicky Van Vermin. He's like, creeping crud, it's the Bug Patrol. I like how he's like, with Man Bug. And Zapper's like, shut up. So this one main guy, who I can't remember his name, he's like their leader. He's got an M on his chest, so hopefully we'll figure it out. And he's all like, what's the big idea? You're our arch enemy. Why are you attacking Jetcat? And he's like, I don't want to be your arch enemy anymore. You guys always beat the crap out of me. I like having Jetcat as an arch enemy because I can win against her. And the leader says, you horrible, puny caca-head. You're a bug and she's a person. And Zapper says, just for that, we're going to trash you harder than ever. But Vicky Von Vermin says, oh, taste my dimensional remover. But he can't pull the lever because Ghost Bee is holding it. And so they proceed to beat the shit out of him. They all take their turns. This art is so just simple. It's almost like hieroglyphics. It's just like, it's just the basics, and it's so appealing, visually appealing. This is so nice to me, this kind of cartooning. A whole page of them just beating the crap out of him every panel. The zapper zaps him, and Vicky Von Verman lands right on the dimensional thing and blows it up. And of course they're mad at him, at Zapper, because they're like, we needed that to get Jetcat back from the other dimension. Meanwhile, totally unbeknownst to the Jetcat Haters Club, they have no idea this whole drama happened 1 feet away from them on the ground. The giant robot-controlled... What is it? Giant radio-controlled robot has fixed the even bigger radio-controlled robot. And they're ready to kick some ass. The robot and the monkey have this weird relationship where, like, the monkey seeks the robot's approval. It's constantly insulting the monkey. But every now and then it calls him pal, and the monkey will just be like, oh, he called me pal. So it's kind of an interesting, weird dynamic between these two. So now Todd has just gone home. He's so pissed off, getting caught in the rain, tripping in a puddle. And then all of a sudden, back to the main action, Jetcat shows up. Came back from the other dimension. Bug Patrol are thrilled. Jetcat Haters Club are much less so. And Todd is watching it all on live TV. He's pretty thrilled too. And so a giant Donnybrook begins. Now this is weird. Now, remember the giant robot was pretty indestructible. Jetcat is just plowing through it, ripping its arms off. And I like this, how a giant radio-controlled robot actually says, hey, explain me this. In issue number 1, Jetcat couldn't even dent this giant robot. And now you expect everyone to believe that she can just demolish it? I mean, come on. It's like this kind of thing where all the sound effects, zip, plock, and Todd is watching going, zip, plock. This sound effect, rend. Yeah, rend. And Jetcat says, shut up. It would all make sense to you when I tell the Bug Patrol my story later in this comic. But none of you guys will hear it because you won't be able to hear it through the heavy bandages around your head because I'm going to beat the crap out of you. And so Jetcat continues to just pummel these guys. So she wraps up the fight, finishes off these guys, and the Bug Patrol says, we're hungry. So they all retire to a restaurant called The Stem. And now Jetcat explains what's up. So Jetcat is eating a hamburger, and she says, I've never had one of these burgers before. It's really good. And the leader of the Bug Patrol says, never had a... You ain't the real Jetcat. And she says, well, I am now. And she explains. So, it turns out this Jetcat is Melanie and Space Ape's daughter, the one we saw last issue. Now she's grown up. She's about, 7, 8. And I think I missed something here. Okay. So she tells the whole story about how her mom and dad met and they gave birth to her. Meanwhile, Todd is in the bedroom still, kind of grounded. But the mother says, come on down, you two. I hope you've made up by now. So Todd is all like, oh shit, where's Jetcat? Where's Melanie? She's got to come home quick. Her mom's expecting her. I like these scenes of Melanie's daughter growing up. She really likes Kipbot. They become friends. And apparently it's this beautiful idyllic time where they're very much in love and they have this cute little daughter and they love her. So I guess for years, she's told Space Ape, as soon as we fix the ship, I have to get back to Earth. The Jetcat Haters Club are going to destroy the city. I've got to stop them. But now, of course, she's just like, I don't want to go back. You know, I have you here and my daughter. So she actually says, I'm going to send our daughter. I'm going to send her as the new Jetcat. Because, you know, I've lived on this planet longer than I've lived on Earth. Way longer. It's kind of weird that she would just send her daughter off and maybe never to see again into another dimension. But, whatever. It's a kid's comic. So, sorry about that, guys. So, this new Jetcat, Melanie Jr., her mom, you know, the original Jetcat, she said, as soon as you get back to Earth, you got to, or as soon as you get to Earth, you have to hurry back to your grandma's house because it's your 8th birthday party. So she flies back to her house just in time. Todd is thrilled. It's like, you made it back. He says, put on your dress and we'll run down to the party as if nothing ever happened. So all this has happened in 10 minutes. So Todd has a gift for her. It's the last one that hasn't been opened. And she rips open the box, and it's a Space Ape collector's edition action doll. This other kid at the party says, you moron, Melanie only likes Nod stuff, you idiot. And then we see this flashback of Melanie seeing her dad, Space Ape, saying, goodbye, sweetheart, I love you. And she hugs the doll. And Todd's like, oh, well, I guess you could always exchange it. And everyone's shocked. I thought that was actually kind of a sweet moment. I was actually a little choked up. It's like, oh, that's nice. We have another letter page. Pretty cool drawing here. Actually, I think that's just the cover of the next issue. Some ads. And this is nice. We get a one-page Tutenstein strip. And I think this was also a cartoon on Nickelodeon. So Tutenstein's like a mix of King Tut and Frankenstein. And just pretty much a one-page gag. Kind of fun. So now we have the 4th issue, which is kind of a divergence. It's not so much Jetcat. This is more about Tutenstein and also Space Ape. It says last issue double feature spectacular, but it's just as thin as the other issues. It's not one page longer. Another fun cover. It says the production designs by Jay Stevens and Craig Thompson of Blankets fame. Because it's not that important, you can't tell, but I thought that was interesting. So now we have the Space Ape Brigade. And we're back on that planet. Space Ape 8 is kind of in a funk. He says, this whole planet reminds me of Melanie, our daughter. Let's soldier on. Let's get out of here. All of a sudden, this other ship, the Piranha Grande, lands and crushes Space Ape's Star Shark ship. And all of a sudden, they're slurped inside the ship. Like noodles. Noodles with opposable thumbs. I like this. I, Kipbot, Space Ape's number 8's faithful robot assistant, have no clever catchphrase. So now they got sucked up into the ship, and it's one of the Space Ape Brigade. It's number 4. And he says, I've come to rescue you from your months of isolation. And she's like, it hasn't been months, it's been years, you moron. We had the Star Shark all ready to fly. And you finally get here and you crush it. I guess they've had budget problems at Space Ape Central. I guess Space Ape 4 has this a real dog. And Space Ape says, get that blasted puppy away from me. And he passes another bigger dog. He says, another one, sheesh. And these two dogs are like, hey, what's up with that guy? He doesn't like dogs or something? Yeah, he's a big racist. And I guess the reason why is because 8 was framed for murder by his own lieutenant, who was Kip, this little dog, an evil terrier. And supposedly, the rumor is that Space Ape iced him. So now he only uses robot dogs. He can't trust any other dogs. They'll start crying in sympathy. So now we're back in Space Ape 4 ship. And they're following the signal of an emergency beacon. And they see this like kind of space sarcophagus. And it cracks open. And Space Ape 13 comes out. He's the evil one. And he has a blast belt, and he's attacking our heroes. Seems like he's doing pretty good, too. And Space Ape 8, though, he gets his dander up. Punches him so hard he falls back in there in the sarcophagus and slams the lid on it. And he chucks it into a dimensional vortex. Now, I think this is really interesting. I look at the art all of a sudden. It has this kind of like charcoal drawing style or whatever it's called, the medium. And the art totally changes. And it becomes a story about Tutenstein. And it's told in verse as if it was a children's book. And as you can see, it's, not comic storytelling anymore. It's kind of like a storybook. Tutenstein was hiding out inside the big museum, afraid of Finkley Crawdad, who was on his way to eat him. So Finkley Crawdad's this nasty man. And he likes to eat everything, even mummies. I think this is such a weird turn for the comic. I kind of like it. Totally unexpected. We had that totally clean, simple art, and then it turns to this. I don't know if there's other Tutenstein comics, and this is how he always draws them, in this style. So basically, Tutenstein's running, trying to evade Crawdad. This is pretty impressive. This is really interesting, this art. Especially in a kid's comic. So Crawdad sneaks right up to this little kind of sculpture that Tutenstein's hiding inside of. But then all of a sudden he's distracted by a crashing sound. He walks away to discover what made that sound. And it's a mummy. It's actually the sarcophagus that Space Ape 13 was in. So he opens up the sarcophagus, and Space Ape 13 gives him a mighty wallop. Punches him into the air. And here's the last couplet. Space Ape 13 gives the hungry fiend a mighty... Wait a second. That doesn't rhyme. Space Ape 13 gives the hungry fiend a mighty... Oh, a mighty bop. Duh. What an idiot. Who comes to rest across the room amidst some classic pop. And we see a poster for Jailhouse Rock, Batman, Judy Garland's Ruby Slippers. And that's the end. And it's an odd lunchbox. It's a pretty weird way to end the series. Here's an ad for the next Land of Nod book, which I definitely want to get more of this stuff. I know this stuff's pretty simple, but I just had such a good time reading this last night. I was chuckling. I love the cartooning. This stuff is just totally fun. I've had this for years. I think I read it years ago. And I just thought, it's okay. It's good enough to keep in my collection. But now I'm kind of really into this stuff. I guess I'm getting old and senile. But it's nice. Here's the announcement for the Jetcat cartoon. And we see some model sheets for Bella Kiss. And look at this, guys. A fine little treat. We have Daniel Brereton of the Nocturnals fame doing a beautiful depiction of Tutenstein. Really nice painting. Pretty cool. So there you go, guys. Land and Nod number 1 through 4. I hope you enjoyed looking at it as much as I enjoyed rereading it again and showing it off. I'm pretty sure there's tons of these. Either Jetcat or Tutenstein, Bug Patrol. I need to track them down. I know J. Stevens has moved on from this. The past 5-10 years, he's been doing this weird Harvey-inspired, or at least Harvey-looking horror comics that look cutesy and Harvey comics-like, and yet they're incredibly gory. I can't remember the name, but they're actually quite popular. So I don't know if we'll ever see stuff like this again coming from J. Stevens. But I should get those new horror comics. They look pretty damn good. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope to see you again next time here at the Herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.